Hello, beautiful humans. It's Riha, and welcome to episode 2 of the Right Now. Get it? Because you're going to go do that thing that you said you were going to do last week, right now. You're going to put your AirPods in, continue listening to this video, put your phone on the side, and get cranking on that thing that you said you were going to start 2 hours ago. Right now. Yeah, talking to you. Get up. Remind yourself that you're a lot stronger than you think you are. Get cranking on that crap. Get it done. You're going to feel 10 times better rather than procrastinating it, because if you're not going to do it right now, then when the heck are you going to do it? Hop on it. Get moving. So let's get into today's topic. I briefly mentioned this in my last video. I said that forgiveness and letting go are not the same thing. And that is what we're going to dive into today. These are two separate, completely separate parallel lines that I think people tend to blur together. And I think it's because they think that you have to do one in order to do the other. Not true. Not true at all. I learned the hard way with some situations that I dealt with last year that you don't have to forgive someone for what they did. You can understand why they did it. You can understand where they were coming from, but you don't have to forgive them for it. And then you can still let go of the situation and what happened. You don't have to do one in order to do the other. It goes vice versa too. You can forgive someone, but you may have not actually let go of what happened. And I think we should start off by just simply defining what letting go is and what forgiveness is to kind of help unblur those lines. What is letting go? What is it? It took me a while to kind of figure this out, but letting go is essentially you saying, I am no longer allowing this situation, this thing, to have an emotional hold over me. I'm no longer allowing it to take up my energy and take up space in my mind. I'm basically saying, you no longer control how I feel. That is what letting go is. And it's a choice. Letting go is a choice. I said this in my last video. You choose whether or not to be broken or not. You choose your actions. You control you. You control how you behave, how you respond, and you control the choices you make. And letting go is a choice that you make. Forgiveness, on the other hand, I looked up the literal definition for this. By definition, forgiveness means willfully putting aside the feeling of resentment towards someone who committed wrong towards you. I'm going to say that one more time. Willfully putting aside the feeling of resentment towards someone who committed wrong towards you. You're quite literally saying, forget about how I feel. Doesn't matter. Let's move on. And forgiveness essentially is you not setting any boundaries. You're not changing the dynamic of your relationship with this person or the bond. You're not setting any boundaries. You're not drawing any lines. You're not telling them, hey, I don't accept what you did. That's what forgiveness is. And I'm not saying forgiveness is a wrong thing to do. If you feel like you can just put aside all of your feelings and move on, and you don't think that there needs to be a dynamic change between you and the person who hurt you, and you don't think that you need to set any boundaries, you think that they'll kind of pick up on it on their own and kind of be better, that's good. That's good. But if it's something that keeps happening again and again, or if it's something that you would have never done to them, I said this in my last video, if it's something that you would have never done to them, something that would have never crossed your mind to do to that person, that is your biggest indicator, your biggest flag that they don't deserve your forgiveness and that there needs to be some boundaries set. The dynamic needs to change, and you need to tell them, I don't accept what you did. Why? Because it's something you would have never, ever done to them. A simple way to put it is that forgiving is more towards the person who did the wrongdoing, right? And letting go is more towards the situation itself. Letting go is basically like you accepting what happened and accepting the fact that it can't be changed or undone. And then just saying that, okay, because I can't change it and I can't do anything about it, I'm no longer gonna allow my energy to be put towards this and ruin my emotional and mental state because of it. Forgiveness is also, I feel like, a little more emotional, while letting go is a little bit more intentional. Because like I said, letting go is a choice that you make and a choice on whether or not you're going to let something control you. Whereas forgiveness is more so your emotions towards the person who hurt you or did you dirty. And it can be hard to forgive. It can be hard. Like I said, it's not, you don't have to forgive someone, but if you want to, by all means do it. Because at the end of the day, I say this all the time to people, you need to do what you think is going to bring you the most peace, because your peace is what matters the most. And if you think forgiving is the way to go about it, do it. But make sure you're also communicating the fact that you may need some time still, because you may have not fully let go of the situation itself. Like I said, they're two different things. You can say, hey, I forgive you. No hard feelings towards you anymore. But I need some time to get over what happened. I need some time to let that go. I'm still having feelings and I'm still overwhelmed or worked up about how things went down. And I need some time. That's okay. But you have to communicate that, because you cannot say that you forgive someone and that you let go of what happened, but then still dangle that situation over their head, because that means that you haven't let go. You may have forgiven them, but you haven't let go. You can still not forgive them for what they did, because releasing that pain and that emotion, that hold that situation has over you, that's more about freeing yourself, but not releasing them from the responsibility that they should be taking and the accountability. Forgiveness is more personal, in my opinion, too, and I don't think it requires anyone's involvement or apology. You decide if you want to forgive someone. I said this in my last video, I'm gonna say it again. Don't let others' opinions take over. Don't do it. Don't let others' opinions get under your skin. If something is pulling you in one direction, listen to your gut. Your gut is never going to do you wrong. I promise you. Your body knows. Your soul knows which direction to go. And if something doesn't feel right, like if someone keeps telling you, oh, just forgive them, forgive it, let it go, forget about it, forgive them, they said they're sorry, but you're still like, no, don't listen to them. That means you're not ready. You're not ready, and you need time to heal. You need time to process. Everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves time to process, and everyone deserves time to heal. So it's important that you give that to yourself. And then another thing, there's a third factor that falls into this actually, and it's forgiving yourself versus forgiving others. Now, almost 100% of the time, you are also mad at yourself. You are probably beating yourself up for some things that happened in the situation. Maybe there was something that you felt like you could have handled differently, or maybe you're beating yourself up because you missed the signs or you ignored them and you're like, gosh, dang it, like it was right in front of my face and I didn't look at it. I chose to ignore it. And you're mad at yourself. You're mad at yourself. And that happens. And it's important that you forgive yourself. Don't hold any resentment towards yourself. And the reason why I say that is because you need to give yourself some grace and understand that you did the best that you could with the knowledge that you had. You did what you thought was right, and you did it with a good heart, with pure intentions. And despite all that, it was just something out of your control. And there's just nothing you can do about it. But I say forgiveness for yourself is mandatory. That is mandatory because you will not feel peace if you don't forgive yourself. Like I said, forgiving others is optional. That's optional, especially if it's something that you would have never done to them if roles were reversed. And letting go and forgiving yourself, that doesn't mean that you're letting the other person off the hook for what they did. Letting go and forgiving yourself, that is what's going to give you closure. I talked about this in my last video. Sometimes you think hearing it from the other person and talking to them and confronting them, you think that that's what's going to give you closure. It's not. Most of the time, it's going to piss you off even more. It's just going to make you angrier because you already know deep down what the truth is. And hearing it out loud, it's just going to make it worse. Because the only reason why you feel like you need to hear it from the other person is because you're just hoping that it's not true. And the fact is that you just have to accept it and give yourself the grace that you deserve and stop allowing it to control you, because that's where you're going to get your closure from. Forgiving the other person is not going to give you closure. Like I said before, you can forgive someone but still not fully let go of the situation. And if you say that you forgive them and you've let go of the situation, but you really haven't, and you haven't given yourself that closure, you're going to kind of dangle that thing over them. And that's not good either. They don't need that. They don't need that, especially if they're really trying to be better, right? So they don't deserve that if they're really trying to fix themselves and be better and they've learned from their mistakes. And when you don't want to forgive someone, you saying, I never would have done what you did, is a valid enough of a reason for you to protect your energy and protect your peace. You do not have to give any other reason as to why you don't want to forgive someone. You don't. And if someone asks you and says that's not a valid reason, stop talking to them. Stop talking to them. Because clearly they don't understand the impact that the situation had on you, and they don't understand the impact that what the person did to you. They don't understand the impact that had on your mental state and your emotional state. Stop talking to them. Crazy thought. This is going to sound completely insane, but you can not forgive someone, let go of the situation, forgive yourself, and still keep that person in your life. I know, it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but you can make it work. I've made it work. I have a friend in my life right now. They're still in my life, but I didn't forgive them for something that they did. You can make it work. You can. And let me tell you how and why it works. What is forgiveness at its core? I said this before. It's basically you saying, we're not going to talk about the boundaries that were crossed. We're not setting new boundaries, and we're not changing the dynamic of our bond. That's what forgiveness at its core essentially is. You saying I don't forgive you is you also saying that if this is going to work, I don't accept what you did. I may understand where you're coming from, but I don't accept what you did. And basically saying our dynamic needs to change. The dynamic of our bond needs to shift. Sometimes you're in a circle over and over and over again with someone because you're not shifting that dynamic. You're not setting the boundaries. You have to stop growling. People are allowed to walk. It's okay. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog growling. But anyway, this person who is still friends with me, right? They did something that really, really hurt me. And it wasn't the first time that it happened. So I finally said, I don't forgive you. Hey, chillax. I finally said, I don't forgive you. Finally. And I think that that's what snapped. You know, the switch flipped in their head when I said that. Because I said, I don't accept it. I don't accept what you did. Because I never would have done it to you. So why should I take that for myself? And I told them, I said, if this bond is going to continue, this friendship, things need to change. Because that's what I wasn't doing before. I wasn't setting any new boundaries. I wasn't telling them that, hey, you crossed the line. I was just forgiving them and shoving it under the rug. And that's a problem. That's a problem. And that's where the problem was. So I finally said, our dynamic needs to change. Because I realized that if I let them know that I don't forgive them for what they did, maybe that's where the dynamic will shift from both sides. Because on my side, I'm changing things. I'm trying to see if I do things differently, maybe this friendship can continue. But I think you letting another person know that you don't forgive them will kind of flip that switch and let them know that, hey, okay, maybe there's some things I gotta change. Maybe there's some things that I need to shift around. And, well, it worked. It worked. Our friendship is great. We set new boundaries. We talked about the ones that were crossed, that shouldn't have been crossed. And we said, this is only going to work if this, and this changes. And we're good. I know it sounds insane. And I know some of you are probably going to be like, well, okay, that you basically forgave them. No, I didn't. Okay, you let it go. That's clearly what this is. You're just communicating it all. But you've let it go. Yeah, I let it go. But I didn't forgive them for what they did. And they know that. They know that. And they know that I never will forgive them for it. I don't dangle it over their head, though. They just know. They understand that. And that's why they changed. That's why they changed. And I know it sounds crazy. I know it does. We went from 2 things to 4 things. But, I mean, you really can make it work. You really can. And I feel like if you really understand the difference between these things, then you kind of know where the issue may really be sitting at, and maybe it can help you figure out how to get past it and kind of find a solution for it, you know? And another thing to point out, your ability to forgive is not a measure of your level of maturity. It's not a gauge on how mature you are. Let's see if, okay, hold on. We're getting dark. Sun is going down. Let's see if we can get some light. Okay. I'm just using my computer light because I don't have a ring light. I need to buy one. But anyway, your ability to forgive is not a measure of your level of maturity. And if someone says that you're not mature for not forgiving someone, if they say that you're not mature because you won't forgive them, they don't understand your emotions towards the situation or towards the person who hurt you, and they need to go. If they can't understand the impact that something had on you, then they're not someone you should be talking to, because they are not going to help you through something. They're going to kind of put it in your head that you should just shove it under the rug. And that's not good either, because you're going to bottle it up. You're going to blow up at some point. And that's not going to be good for you or for other people around you who may have to take the hit and become collateral damage. It's not good. It's not good. So just remember that forgiveness is not a measure of your maturity or healing, for that matter. Or healing. Forgiveness does not equal, okay, this person's healed. Because like I said, you can forgive someone, but you may have not fully let go of the situation. And if you haven't let go of the situation, you haven't fully healed. You haven't. And understanding that your level of maturity or the level of your healing is not defined by when you forgive someone or when you let go of a situation is important to give yourself grace. And I think it'll help you forgive yourself too. If you feel like you're having trouble forgiving yourself, I think that that's a concept that will help you kind of go towards that. Like I said, forgiveness is personal. It's not something performative. If you choose not to forgive someone who deeply hurt you, that doesn't mean that you're immature. It means you're honoring your boundaries. And if someone tells you that you're immature for not forgiving them, that means that they don't respect your boundaries either. And they never will. Which also means that they are someone that you shouldn't be keeping in your life. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. Because that means at some point they're probably going to try and cross those boundaries. And healing doesn't always include forgiveness. Maturity is knowing what brings peace to your soul, not just doing what makes other people comfortable. If someone is uncomfortable with the fact that you're not forgiving someone, like, you know, for example, like it's like you and two other people, like a trio of some sort, and something happened between you and one other person. If that third person is like, oh my gosh, like, just forgive them, you're putting me in such an uncomfortable situation. This is not about you. And the fact that you're making it about you is crazy. And that is a red flag. Because again, you need to do what brings you peace, not what makes other people comfortable. So if you have someone putting pressure on you to forgive, you need to stop being friends with them. You have to. For your own peace, your own betterment. And not forgiving does not equal bitterness. That's another thing that I fear people don't get. You are not a bitter person if you don't forgive someone. it doesn't mean that you're angry or bitter or stuck and not healing. You've healed. You are healing. You are just maintaining your boundaries. And if people cannot honor and respect those boundaries, they are people who will not bring you peace. They are not good people to surround yourself with. Not forgiving and giving them a chance means that you're setting those boundaries. Like I said, you can do all 4 things. You can not forgive them, let go, forgive yourself, and still keep them in your life. It's just about setting those boundaries and changing the bond, the dynamic of the bond. That is the most important thing to do, because forgiving means that you're excusing that behavior and you're going back to the way that things used to be. That's what you're doing. And that's never going to work. That's going to keep you stuck in that cycle. That's how things are going to end up repeating themselves between you and that person. If you're not setting those boundaries, it's never going to work. And you saying that you're not forgiving them is going to let them know that those boundaries need to change and new ones need to be set, and the dynamic between you two has to change. That is a good way of kind of knocking some sense into them, you know? And not everyone deserves your forgiveness. Just because you've grown and you've changed, that doesn't mean that everyone deserves your kindness and forgiveness. Not everyone deserves that side of you, especially if they are meeting you with a side of them that you don't deserve. Right? Why are you taking crap that you would never give to someone else? You shouldn't. You shouldn't. And if you find yourself bringing up a situation often, you probably haven't fully let it go. And you may have not fully resolved it within yourself. And don't say you've let go of something and then use the memory of it to harm others or yourself. You're using it as a weapon. Stop using it as a weapon. If you say you've let go, it should not be ammo. If you say you let go, it should not be ammo. It shouldn't be. And don't keep giving it ammo. That keeps you tied back to the pain, and that keeps you stuck in that cycle. In my last video, I talked about how using your past as an excuse rather than a motivator comes from you allowing it to consume you and control you. So if you keep giving it that ammo, you're allowing it to consume you, and you're allowing it to become an excuse and keep you kind of stuck in that cycle over and over and over again. This is different from simply remembering it. I like to say that you know that you've truly let go of a situation and it has become wisdom when you recall a situation, but you feel neutral towards it. Your emotions aren't getting worked up or elevated. That's how you know that it's really just become wisdom and a part of your learning and your growth. And when you're remembering it, but it has no emotional hold over you, that's how you know that it's no longer a weapon. Now, if you're repeating it and your emotions are getting worked up, you're giving it ammo and you haven't really let go. You can hold a memory without letting it have power over you. But at the end of it all, forgiveness is not required, but your peace is. Like I said, forgiving yourself is mandatory, because at the end of the day, your peace is what matters the most. Self-respect and inner peace matter way more than anyone's expectations of you and you need to do what is right for you, not trying to make other people comfortable. Don't listen to other people. Listen to your intuition, listen to your gut. I promise you, it's never gonna steer you the wrong way, okay? I've said it in my previous video that reflection is necessary in order to give yourself that closure and really figure out what you want to do and how you handle a situation. And it's important that you give yourself that grace and the time that you need to work through this. Because if you're not giving that to yourself, you will never be at peace, ever. And you're never going to be able to let go of something. And if you feel like you want to come to a point where you feel like you should forgive someone, you're never going to get there if you're not going to give yourself what you need first. So I hope this video helped unblur those lines, and I hope that this kind of gives you some insight, maybe helps you figure out what you may want to do if you're going through a situation with someone. And yeah, I hope this video was helpful. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, guys. Stay hydrated, rest up, feed yourself, take care of yourself, and stop procrastinating. I'll see you guys in the next one.